Yeah, what's good, y'all? It's Nick from the Upper Room Fitness, and I want to introduce you guys to another episode of the Ordinary People podcast. I got my dog Plank right here. Got him dripped out in a little Army OCP, and I got some of my military coins right here. That's all going to go along with the theme of the episode that we got going on today. And of course, I got my little handy dandy notebook right here because your boy likes to ramble, but we're definitely getting better at it. I mean, I'm trying to get more comfortable doing this whole podcast thing, or even just being comfortable talking in front of a camera. It's definitely a change from what I'm used to doing. So it's definitely cool to be able to learn and grow from doing all this. So today's episode, I'm going to talk to you guys about how a younger Nick made a bold decision to join the military and kind of give you guys a little bit more about my experience in the military, as well as pros and cons, and then I'm gonna end it off with if I would recommend my recommendation to you guys on if you should join the military, if it's the right decision for you. And yeah, let's get right into it. So before I even get into the story about the military, I want to take you guys a little bit further back, and I want to take you guys to a time where I made a dumb decision, or that led to a series of unfortunate events, just like the little bookie book, that kind of forced me to land me into the military. So this took place back in, let's just say that I think the time frame probably took place about maybe 8 to 10 years ago. So let's just say like I was in 2015. It might have been around like 2016 ish. It was just a couple years before I had joined the military. But now I gotta go grab the book because I gotta remember where we start off with this. But yeah. So I'm not gonna give you guys all the details. I am gonna leave out some of the details. This story is more so just to set up the context to why I joined the military, but as well as give you guys a little bit more insight on, I guess, what led me up to this decision. And maybe at some point in time I'll share the full details. But if we start doing all this, it's gonna be a damn movie. We're gonna be here for about 3 to 4 minutes, and I ain't got time for all that. Yeah. So the part of the story that we're gonna pick up at, this was around the time where I was getting ready to buy a new car. This was going to be my second car at the time. My older brother Malcolm, he actually helped me get my first car. Maybe I'll plug it in here. I'll put a little picture right here. We'll see if I do it or not. But he actually helped me get my first car, which I'm really grateful for. But the thing was, the car wasn't my decision. So in my head, well, not even in my head. I mean, I'm just a young adult at the moment, young man. So I'm trying to, figure things out kind of for myself. So I decided, hey, I want to go get a car. My decision. I might try and go get the sexy option. So if you will, that really wasn't a mindset. It was just I really did want something stick, drive manual. So I wanted to really find something that kind of fit my vibe a little bit more of what I wanted. Good car that I initially had just wasn't my decision. So like I said, I ended up trying to find something that I wanted, that I was vibing with. So in the process of me actually looking for these cars, I found the Mazda RX-8 was the car that I ended up finding. And it was the perfect car for me because, at least at the time I thought it was, because it was in the budget of what I wanted. And you ever seen those Mazda RX-8s? Like, they're actually clean. Like, they're like 4-door coupes. Like, you open up the driver's side and the back one, it opens up. So for 5,000-6,000, like, that's pretty tough. And it's Joe manual. So, and they got a little bit of horsepower for the price range. Like, that's a good little car. At least that's what I thought. Didn't really know too much about cars, but if we're gonna keep on going on, we're gonna learn some more. But yeah, that was a lesson that we're about to get into. But so I ended up getting uh so the process of me going ahead and go get this car, I think I had to drive out to like I believe it was like Winchester in Virginia. So I'm over here trying to find the car. I mean they had other ones available, but at the time the money I was making wasn't gonna afford anything that was gonna be anything more than like 6 or 7K. Especially because I was actually a little bit upside down. Like a lot of these. As I'm telling this story, it's gonna be a lot of like, damn, bro, why you get that car? You shouldn't have gotten like I could have told you not to do that now. Like, and I probably wasn't talking to nobody at the time to like nobody talk me out of this shit. I was like, yo, I'm gonna go get a car. Like, fuck it. I'm just a young adult. I didn't want nobody in my business, so. There's a lot of red flags, so I'm just going to let you know there's a lot of them. So just y'all can give me like a virtual neck, but the lesson I'm learning from this shit. I ended up finding a Mazda RX-8 that I liked. It was all black, had black wheels, tinted windows for me already. So I was hyped. I was like, yeah, got my whip. That same day I bought my car, I had a flag football game. So I was able to drive my car from basically like Winchester to like Centerville perfectly fine, have no problems. After the game, driving back from the game, we were driving on some back roads, and as I'm driving, I hit like a rock or something on the side of the road, and the motherfucker just blew up the rim on my tire. Like the rim broke, the shit doing like an S curl. Fucking obviously the tire is flat. And this is the first day I got it. So I'm pulled over. I stopped at the McDonald's. And we might have a picture somewhere. But I'm over here leaning up against the car just like trying to figure out like, damn, bro, I just got this damn motherfucking car like, today. And I already got a fucking blown tire. So when it happened from that point on right there is to get the car towed to some great parents' house. Don't really worry about the car that night. Next day we try and go. And we were trying to get it towed, and in the process of getting it towed and dropped off, the front bumper came off on the motherfucking car at the same time. So I'm just like, damn, bro, got another problem. Able to finally, like maybe like a week had gone by since all this had happened, and I was able to find a replacement tire at like basically like a junkyard, but it was basically an exact match of what I had on there already. And the reason I was trying not to go through insurance was because I wasn't really trying to pay a deductible. Like, money wasn't good. So there was no point in me, like, trying to, like, I was trying, take the cheapest way out. We was in the struggle a little bit. So we were trying to make do what we can. So we finally get the tire replacement back on there. And once we get the tire back on, try and like turn over the car, and this is just maybe just a week after it's sitting, it don't turn over, and we try it again, shit don't turn over. I go and buy some spark plugs and try and replace the spark plugs, shit still don't turn over. So I'm like, damn, bro, like, I mean, I don't really know too much about cars at that point, so I was really like, damn, I don't know what else to do. I ended up getting it taking it back to the dealer, and they run some like diagnostics on it, and they tell me that the motor blew out already. I'm like, but I didn't probably drove this shit at a cumulative of like 50 miles, which you mean that the motor had blown out. So the dealer that I took it to, they didn't have, it was like an independent dealer, so they didn't have their own shop. So they, took it to like a recommended shop. Regardless of the fact that wherever I took it, the dealer wasn't trying to fix it, replace it, pay for it, because they tried to tell me that they sold me as is. And at this point, probably like a month, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks had gone by. I don't know, which is still sketchy as shit. But really, at this point, like, I was already like a little bit upside down on the car to begin with. And so I took it to the dealer, and they told me that it was going to be like $9K to go ahead and get that shit replaced. So I'm like, bro, like, we're not paying that. Like, that's more than what I got on the loan. Like, y'all high key crazy, right? So I leave it up there for a little bit while I'm trying to figure whatever the next move is that I'm already grinding, trying to make the money up because I knew the shit wasn't going to be cheaper regardless to get fixed. Whether I was going to need a new car or get the car fixed, me sitting around wasn't going to fix nothing. Money was the issue. So, I'm over here grinding to get another job, trying to get another car. Meanwhile, the car is still storage at the garage that it's shopped at because I'm like, I don't want the car here because it's going to get abandoned vehicle notice stickers out my way from that shit sitting around because the motor wasn't going to get replaced. Not the price that they was paying. I get myself out of a loan and just get rid of the car for that amount because at that point the car was already proven to be a piece of shit for real. So I'm like, we just going to have to get. So after the car probably being in storage there for probably about a year, the dealer sent me a notice basically saying that we're gonna put a lien on your car until you pay the total off, or we can just take the car and sell it and basically that's that. The total they told me I was gonna have to pay was 24K. So at this point I'm like, bro, that car is y'all. That's more than what I got on the loan. The fuck, why would I pay that? I'm already over this car at this point. So basically, I ended up getting a car, test driving that car for an accumulative of maybe 50 to 75 miles, but still had to pay the loan out on something on probably was about 8 or 9K, and my little $500 checks every 2 weeks. At the time I was making maybe $2,000 a month probably. I don't remember how much. I really wasn't making too much money. It was almost fresh out of high school, damn near. A couple years out of it. But that's besides the point. Regardless, I had to get on my shit now because I got a fucking car note and no car. That's just a terrible situation to be in. But by God's grace, so many things worked out for me in so many ways that I bounced back, got out of the financial struggle I was. I mean, it took a couple years and it sucked because there were some times where I'm using the little surveys off the McDonald's and the Popeyes receipts, talking about some fill out the survey. And just buy a large drink and get 2 pieces of chicken, an entree or something, or a large soda or something, and rocking out like that for your lunch and breakfast, getting the free McDoubles, free egg McMuffins, Big Macs, only paying $1 for it. I was hustling them fucking those receipts because, I mean, at that time it was we was kind of working just enough to be broke. In a sense that as soon as I get paid, that money going straight to whatever bills that we were trying to pay, and it was just kind of in a bad situation. It would have been more ideal if at least was putting money towards a car. But I mean, even one point down the line, I mean, the car dealership I was working at managed to get a little Integra for the cheap. Some lady blessed me with a '87 Integra for $300. It was just a crazy situation for me to even. I just had to put a battery in it. Small little blessings along the way were kind of helping me. So even subsequently throughout all that, I ended up even cutting my dreads because I had to try to find a way to get some fucking money. And some jobs weren't trying to hire a young dreadhead at the time. So I mean, I was really just trying to make decisions to kind of get me back in the right direction. I was something got to give. And if it's going to be my hair, I'm not going to let my hair be something that's going to hold me back at the moment. So, boom, cut my hair. And I was also kind of military at this point was in the back of my head. So I was all right, well, I think it's likely that it's going to happen because for me, it was it had to be 21. By 21, if I didn't know what I was going to do, I was going to kind of figure out, okay, that might be an option. At this point, I was probably about 22. But, I ended up bouncing back and getting to a point where I was doing well enough where financially speaking, I mean, it's not like people in the military make a lot of money anyways, especially soldiers, but I was doing good enough where it didn't really make sense, or financially, yeah, I would have been taking a good pay cut if I would have just left to join the military. But I was kind of at the situation where like being in depth and being able to work your way back from it, kind of had that perspective. It was like, damn, like, and then looking around, I'm like, damn, I mean, I could go to school, but it looked like everybody else around me was like they going to school to get it in depth, or they was kind of going to school to go pursue something that they knew they wanted to do. I didn't have any of that. Like, I had an idea maybe, but not really. It was kind of like I definitely don't want to. I just spent money on something I was unsure about, and you see how it bit me in the ass. So like, let's take a little bit more time and plan your next move before we just go ahead and make another careless decision. Because if anything that the car situation had taught me was that like, yeah, your decisions got consequences, and sometimes like a small decision here, or you sign a piece of paper here, like it's gonna influence you for whoever knows. Like it might seem like a small decision now, but boy, let me tell you, like it's a good chance that certain things they have lingering effects. So for me, I mean, I kind of understood some of these things. I was starting to catch on to some of the stuff that maybe that like some people might not really have the perspective on until like later in their life. But once I got to that point and I'm like here at the crossroads, I already kind of like made enough couple of decisions of like, all right, well, what's the next move? What do you want to do? Just starting to feel a little bit stagnant for real. And I think that like a lot of like young high school athletes, everybody like who really like enjoy playing sports, I think a lot of them probably have like the idea that like, oh, I'm gonna go off and play ball somewhere and everything is like, these are like the goals that you have for yourself, or like aspirations, especially when they tell you to dream big. So I'm like, shit, I want to play ball shit one day. Obviously, like if you're not going to college fresh out of high school, and you're just kind of sitting around like still exercising, but you're not, the reality of that shit gotta sink in like real soon. So like obviously at a certain point you gotta realize, well damn. But I think a lot of people have an identity crisis, or people who grew up playing sports their whole life, like they get to that point and they're like, damn, like the thing that I found my identity in for so long is not going to be profitable for me in the media right now. It's not saying that the love goes away from it, but you got shit to do. You got shit to take care of, especially as a man. So for me, it was more, well, damn, like what we gonna do next type shit. So to me, it was, the goal is not to be in debt. Be closer to financial freedom than further. And to me, just like going to school, taking out school loans, all that, like it didn't really have that appeal to me. I mean, really wasn't too many other options available. I mean, I could go try and sell drugs, I guess, right? Nah, like that wasn't like, I'm not about that life. It was not for me. Not knocking hustle, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, man, like, dude, it really, like, it's kind of almost like if I'm not going to school, what other, what are you going to do to kind of at least like create opportunities for yourself, okay, so towards like the end, towards like when I say the end, I mean like my civilian career, or my first like stint as a civilian, I guess you would say. I don't know what the appropriate term for this is, but so yeah, I was getting ready to get out, and I was getting ready to join the military. I had already made the decision that like, damn, like I was meeting with Air Force people. Air Force be bullshit. And they stingy as hell, I guess. But they act like they trying to get you, but they just really drag out the process. Like they don't want to tell you no, but they'll take a really long time to tell you yes. least like that was my experience. Everybody might be a little bit different, but ain't like I scored well on the 𝐟𝐨𝐫. So there was really like they were just hating, but I did do well. Now I believe I scored in like the 80th percentile or some shit like that, which is not like outstanding, but it's good enough to get you just about. Especially on the Army side, definitely good enough to get you just about any job you want to get, honestly. But so going into the military, Air Force kind of bullshitting too much. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go Army. Went through the whole process of going through the Army. I did run into some trouble at MEPS on the Army side, but that's like an exclusive story. We might have to definitely saving that for another time. Not doing that one today. But going through MEPS, I ended up getting in a little bit of trouble, and I didn't end up getting my clearance when the goal was to try and get into the military with a clearance, do my time in, come back to Northern Virginia with a clearance, and reap the benefits of it. Just because I just knew there was so much opportunity, and I was trying to get into something like IT-wise, computer-based at the time. I just thought that might have been a good direction to go in because I already like playing with computers and electronics and stuff, and I knew that's where money was. So it was like, if you don't know what you want to do, your best bet is just making the most off of your skills and capitalizing off of that. And if along the way you find something that you really do want to do, you've already, you have that money with you on the side where you can go and move and do those things if, you find yourself. Like sometimes you just gotta, make the most out of what your skills can get you right now. It might not be what you want to do, but you're really good at this. So it's almost like, get your money and get out if you can, if you're just talented enough, or if you're good at, you're good enough at something, like it's not a bad play. But yeah, so the goal was to get the clearance, get out. I go through MEPS, everything, really like on the process. This is like me, like basically going in. So I ended up going into the military as a CBRN, a CBRN. It's the same for Delta is what the MOS code is. It stands for Chemical, Biological, Radiological, Nuclear Specialist. They be walking around in like hazmat suits, like decontaminating areas. Some people within the MOS just call themselves like fucking glorified car wash people. I wouldn't quite say that. I think that's kind of cap, but I think it's still I'm not really good at explaining. It's crazy because I did that shit for 3.5 years, but the MOS is really sitting around like hazmat, decontamination stuff. I don't know if you guys heard about like nerve agents and stuff going on like in Syria years back, but I remember when I was going through, that was something big that they talked about. I think even one of the Kim Jong-un brothers in North Korea, I think one of them was set up with nerve agent. Like they get messy over there because they trying to be in control. Like it's not normal for one of the brothers trying to whack one of another's out. Like yeah, you can't even trust like their own family for real. It'd be your own people out that way. But yeah, so I go in with the mind that with the mindset that I just don't want to live a life like committed to debt and working. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't want to work. So I'm like, obviously you gotta work, but I mean I want to be able to you do it your own way so it don't feel like you're working. Like that's the ultimate goal. So just trying to enjoy the stuff I'm doing more than anything. So especially like I know all the people out there grinding, you working fucking 3 jobs sometimes. Like that shit ain't the move. Like yeah, like it feels good to get your shit done and taken care of, but working all day and not enjoying yourself don't sound fun to me. I don't know. Like that would mean I couldn't come home and spend time on Mondays if I just had to work all fucking day. Like you gotta work smarter, not harder. So then I was going back and talking about like wanting to play sports and stuff like that. I think just the idea of being able to make money off of like being in shape, that's kind of like that was kind of like the goal. It was like, damn, I like to exercise, so let's try and make money exercising, like, or profiting off your body. Sound crazy to say, pause, but really, that's like the thought process. It's like, damn, like, shit. What's the point of me being in shape and doing all this if I can't really, like, profit off it somewhere? I mean, me going to go play like semi-pro ball or something like that was just not something I considered. Like, I'm like, damn, like, what if I get hurt? I don't even got insurance like that. Like, I mean, what else definitely play into it? And I mean, it just, I don't know. Nothing guided me to that. I didn't really have an interest of doing that. I don't know, but and also like bigger picture, like, trying to get an education, uh, trying to make something for myself, or if at one point you want to have a family or you want these things for yourself, like, I mean, you got to start building it, especially if you don't have that shit right now. It's like, okay, well, how can we attain that? Or, that lifestyle is reachable. The things you want are reachable, but it's just, you're going to have to work hard for it. But, so I'm just really trying to, like, get my life on track. I mean, I think probably through God's grace, I would have always ended up, I'm always end up wherever I'm supposed to be. But it's more so about, like, then I could go to the military and be where I'm at, and I could just say I'll be 6-7 years ahead of track versus, like, me, like, it just would have been harder to build something like that. So definitely, like, just trying to set yourself up, just give yourself opportunities where, like, and I'm not, and just a sidetrack real quick, I think having an opportunity, it just gives you a little more leverage, I guess you would say, so to speak, that, like, if I'm going to this job and some of these, like, managers in the real world think they can just talk to people however they want, I really don't got to deal with this shit. Like, I'm not talking about just ducking out and quitting when shit gets rough, but, like, you're really just a number to some of these corporations and some of these jobs, and you might not think that way, but if you start working today, I mean, they might say I miss you, but they gonna have that application that day you left. They gonna have flyers to fill that position, and within some time, it's not even gonna act like you was there. Like, so, I mean, the same way, like, you see professional athletes or whatever, putting themselves first. I'm all for it. I think people need to put themselves first more often than not when it comes to companies. But I'm not a company man. I have another story where you could talk about that anyways, but I'm just trying to do my time and get. So, like I said, I'll be rambling, y'all, but gonna, bring it back just a little bit. When I was talking about kind of more about just where I was in the military, I was in for about 3.5 years. I did my basic training in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I went like in the middle of the summer, so it was hot. It was it was hot for real. I'm like thinking about that shit. It was toasty for sure. It wasn't like the hottest months of the year. Like, I think like it gets like really hot like early July or late July, early August. So I was kind of just getting out of there, but nah, it was. I mean, it definitely was hot for sure. It was just flat land. It's just hot. Oh, fun thing I just remember too. Shit was crazy when I was first time I ever been on a plane was going to basic training. So flying out of DCA to Fort Sill. That shit, it was like thunderstorming and shit. The night I was supposed to go, like that shit was kind of like, damn, bro. Like, you know when Dorothy got swept up in the fucking tornado, and damn, what's that shit called? The Wizard of Oz. That's kind of, I guess, how I was. I got swept up in DCA, ended up in fucking Oklahoma, like, basic training and shit. But yeah, so like that experience, like, you fly in. That was like my first time on a plane, which was just interesting in general. I was basic training is about like 9.5 weeks. I would describe like basic training kind of like, to me it was like 9 weeks of tour days, like just waking up, like, your own structure, your own routine. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like just in general, like the hardest thing for me in basic training was running. Like I was always a good athlete, but distance running is not the same as sprinting, juking, football type exercise. Like those are two different. Like they just require two different systems in your body to actually like function at, and so yeah, that wasn't a good. There was damn near every single run. I never failed a run in basic training, but when I tell you, like I'm coming in with like 5 to 6 seconds to spare. I think like the 2 mile time for the male at my age was like, damn, what was it? It might have been like 16:16 or like 16:32. I don't know. Like I was at the age group that like when you aged up, you had a little bit more time to hit the 2 mile time. So like my like basic training, I had to hit a certain time, but when I was in AIT, I got that window because my birthday actually happened when I was in basic training, and but yeah, so like that was probably like the time where I struggled the most in basic training. It was like just them runs. Now don't get me wrong, there's a lot of like there's a lot of things going on. Drill sergeants yelling at you all the time, or you getting fucked up doing push-ups because buddy over there can't get right. So now everybody got to suffer. So like a lot of basic training is just learning about mass punishment, and if one person's fucked up, another person's fucked up. But like you can navigate that by just paying attention, and it's like, damn, I mean that's what match punishment is. It's just people making examples. So if you smart and you paying attention, you're like, damn, buddy just got fucked up. Let me just not do whatever the fuck he did. You know what I mean? And like, and you kind of just peep game like that, and you just kind of just move and navigate like that. I mean, there's cues and clues on how to navigate the environment. You just gotta pay attention. Always, just be on your shit. But other than that, I mean, basic training was really like my entry to like everything. So obviously we go to school, but even school, like it might be a melting pot, but it's all still geographically like centralized. So it's still like, it's diversified in the way that like I go to the supermarket and I know like it's just a different mixing pot when everybody, I'm in Manassas Park, so everybody from Manassas Park typically. Obviously, some people might have ethnicities from other places, but you go to the military, and I got people from like Minnesota here. I got people from fucking Tennessee, fucking people from like Texas, Oklahoma. Like there's everybody coming from all over the place. I mean, there's people from Madagascar, Puerto Rico. Like it's all in a melting pot. So like you kind of just meeting people for the first time, or you get a chance to experience that. For me, it was like experiencing like really like truly like people who are from completely geographically different places of the world, and now we all came together at this location. So that was a definitely interesting piece about basic training. Obviously, like right now, it would probably be more beneficial if I was here having a conversation with somebody, because then they could probably ask questions. I'm like, oh yeah, true. That makes like, so I'll probably likely have somebody on here at one point that we can kind of go back and forth and have a little bit more dynamic conversation, because even just me thinking about it is not going to come out properly how I would probably want it to. Or I might just miss some facts. After Fort Sill, I ended up going to, I did my job training as a 74 Delta. I did that at Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri. People call that Fort Lost in the Woods just because you just kind of feel like you lost like you just in the middle of nowhere, low key. I mean, you're in fucking Missouri, bro. Like, no shade to my Missourians, but yeah. So over there, I was doing my job training. Once you get to AIT, shit kind of starts to wind down just a little bit, depending on your MOS. So they'll kind of, and it just depends on your drill sergeants too, because you could just get even worse drill sergeants too. My basic had pretty solid drill sergeants too. They were like infantry drill sergeants, so they were more infantry. If you know, I guess infantry folk just a little bit different in military. Like sometimes people in infantry, people the ones who join the army to play Call of Duty sometimes, and I didn't join for any of that. I didn't join the whole guns and shooting shit. I didn't join for any of that. Like I call that playing army. I didn't join to play army. I told you I was in there for the benefits, trying to make steps. But best case scenario for me is I never got deployed. I did not join like, yeah, man, I want to shoot some shit. Not me. I mean, it was cool to shoot guns and shit, but yeah. AIT was a little more laid back. It was freedom. Like there was times when I was able to just go on there. Like after about a couple weeks, you get your phone like on weekends or even like on evenings. Really, I think you get your phone back full time after like a couple weeks. Like they kind of go in phases. I really don't remember, but you get mail. Shit, at one point I fucking bought an Xbox and bought a little TV, and I was in there because when you're in basic training, you stacking up money. So because you getting paid the whole time, when you get the AIT, you might have some bread saved up. And I remember I bought like a little Xbox, and I was watching the games and shit. When I had opportunities, like probably like weekends and stuff. But there's no point in doing that shit throughout the week. Usually, like you kind of like marching everywhere. You're doing a lot more, like I don't want to say more running, but my run time definitely got better in AIT. I felt like we was running a lot more, but I mean, I think that's probably just a combination of me just starting to run more often in general. But I was definitely getting a lot more. I think like physically, I was probably in my best shape in AIT, and I think that's because time was a little bit more like I had a little bit more time to relax and kind of take care of the mental. And I mean, I had two drill sergeants. One was drill sergeant 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐿, and he was like this Russian dude who like I don't think you ever forget any of your drill sergeants for real. Like I think they all kind of like I mean they're just like all like personalities. The other one I had was drill sergeant Rose, and they used to call me Babyface Coates because like I used to have a beard prior to I joined, but I was completely shaving all the time, so just looked like a baby face, especially when they knew that I had like a whole beard. But it was there was like a split personality. Like Drishan Rose is more like laid back and she'll curse you out. I think other people in the platoon will call her Mama Drill, and then Drishan 𝐿𝐿 was like he was another post prior infantry dude. I think who switched over to 74 Delta, and that nigga was I mean, he was Russian. Like I don't know. Is Nikola Jokic? Is he Jokic? Is he fucking Russian? I don't know, but them low key kind of cut from the same cloth. Like buddies, they just different, but still great people. I mean, they all got plenty of stories. Like they've been in it. Like drill sergeants kind of played our role as a leader. And if you get good ones, I mean, the purpose of them is to mold you and prepare you to be a soldier. So if you got good ones, they do it along the way. They show you respect still. Like they still treat you like adults. At least how it was when I went through. And maybe that's just a game recognized game. I don't know, but I never really felt like I was really disrespected by any of the drill sergeants in any situation. But it was overall like it was great. Like didn't really have too many complaints. AIT. I don't want to say it was great, but it was kind of like. I mean, the shit went by for me. I mean, that like AIT and basic training between the two, that's like 18 months. So, it went by kind of fast. I think I built a lot, definitely built a lot more relationships. I probably feel like between just like both of them, like just met a lot of cool people, and ended up following them on the gram and whatnot. That's one thing though. You don't really like talk to some of them as you keep them going through, but it's crazy. Like just the kind of like the amount of people you meet and cross paths with, and just that amount of time from basic to AIT, it's crazy. So, but yeah, even when I'm thinking about it, I can't really like immediately recall too many thoughts that trigger my AIT experience. Like it was relatively pretty chill. Now, within like your last couple weeks of AIT, you start figuring if you're active duty, you start figuring out your next assignment. So at that point, for me, I was active duty, so I didn't know where I was gonna go. I was like, yo, I want to go overseas, like. So I'd be cool. I was like, yo, they give me Germany. Like I was kind of hoping for Germany. I was like, yo, let me get Germany. That'd be kind of lit. Like that was, and I always heard good things about Germany. So I was like, shit, I want to see what they talking about. Um, but outside of that, I mean, I was open to go wherever. I mean, I knew there was a couple places probably didn't want to go just based on what people were talking about. But nah, at this point, like, I joined the army with like the mindset that I was like, I'm gonna do my 3.5 years, but I'm gonna do it, do my due diligence. I'm gonna, you know, kind of play and see how I feel towards the end. So I was open to whatever experience I got. Like I went in open minded because if I went in, I knew if I went in like, oh, I'll make this shit. Like I was gonna be miserable the whole time, and you might miss out on opportunities. So I kind of went into it open minded just to kind of see what it was gonna be like. And so when I got to, that kind of put me in the perspective that I wasn't really worried about like where I went. Um, Now what completely shocked me that I wasn't ready for was when they was telling people where they was gonna go. They told Nick Coates, Camp Humphreys career. I was like, damn, like. But the way I just saw was saying it, I think it just on Rose. She was like, she was saying that she's like a game host. She said Camp Humphreys, Korea, because there was a couple people in our little platoon who were going there. So she was just Camp Humphreys, Korea. They hit me with that shit, and I was like, "What? I don't know about that." Like I had to put Google. I said, "How far away is Camp Humphreys for real?" Like, let me see what the time zone. What's that shit? All that shit gonna be like. A lot of that shit was kind of going through my head immediately. I was just like, "Damn!" Like that's when it kind of like it didn't hit me yet, but I was like, "Damn, bro!" Like we really about to be in fucking Korea. That's pretty dope. But at the same time, like, whoa. Um, so the way the orders work was like sometimes like they don't have it set up so you immediately transition from AIT to your permanent duty station or your first duty station. If you're not what's the word I'm looking for? Damn. If you like you said, if you're active duty, the army, the moment you sign that contract, like you're the army's property for the next duration of your contract. So going from AIT to fucking my permanent duty station, there was like a month in between from when AIT ended to when I was supposed to be like on my way to Korea, basically, or be in Korea by. So I had to basically, they got this thing called being a holdover. So I was basically a holdover in AIT for a couple of weeks where I just had to sit there and not really sit there. You still gotta wake up early in the morning and do PT with like the new trainees who are coming in. So you still part of the system for a little bit waiting. So I had to wait a couple weeks before I could finally go back home. So I've done graduate AIT, basic training, and while everybody else had kind of left and gone and do their own thing, I stayed back with a couple other people getting ready to move to my next step. So we ended up going to, I ended up waiting until like 2 weeks go by, going back home, At this point, I mean, everybody knew I'm going to Korea, so you come back home, you got a couple weeks to get everything together, enjoy the time back home. But once you go to Korea, you're not those assignments usually last about a year to 2 years, depending if you're going alone or with family. So I was out, I'm gone. Like once I came back home, I'll see y'all in a year. Like so, you just kind of got time to spend time home and you come back home, enjoy that time with them, getting ready to like, go to Korea. On the like it didn't really hit me that I was really like going to Korea until like there's a lot of connecting flights. So fucking I had to go back from Dulles to fucking to St. Louis, from St. Louis to Seattle, from Seattle to Alaska, from Alaska to Japan, from Japan to fucking Korea. So it was a lot of like connecting flights. It was almost like it might have been like a day's worth of flying. Honestly, like it was like a lot of flying for real. A funny story that happened on my flight is I don't know, y'all been on them long ass flights and they bringing out food and shit. So I remember I fall asleep, and when I'm asleep, I wake up because I was on the window seat. So anytime they was bringing food by, it would get to them first. The girl who was sitting next to me didn't wake me up one time when the food was coming. So I'm over here like sleeping. And you know when you sleeping and you smell something like, especially when you ain't eating a little bit of food, just hit your nose a little bit different. So I wake up and Shorty over here eating. I'm like, hey yo, like where you get that from? Oh, they just bought the food. I'm like thinking in my head like, dang, you wasn't gonna wake me up. She over here enjoying that shit too. This shit look good. At that point, you know, I would have ate anything. Like, you know, you on them flights. Like those, I'm just gonna eat. You can't sleep through the hunger forever. Like eventually, you gonna have to eat something. But yeah, so that was my experience, like flying, getting ready to go to Korea. And once, let me take these notes, make sure I'm not forgetting nothing.